Choosing and planning your first Alaska cruise can be a little bit daunting. The first time we set sail for Alaska, we were totally blown away. It wasn't just the awe inspiring glaciers or the chance to spot a bear in the wild that made Alaska cruises unique compared to other destinations. I mean, the scenery was unlike anything we'd ever seen, the wildlife viewing was unparalleled, but there was also this laid back, onboard atmosphere that made it kind of a different adventure. So, whether you're an experienced Alaska cruiser or this is your first cruise to the last frontier, we are here to help. If you're new here, I'm Sherry with CruiseTipsTV.com, and I'd love to invite you to subscribe to our channel. Through over 20 years of cruise experience, I help travelers with cruise planning, packing, and destination tips so you can create your dream cruise. Now, when I think back to that first cruise, there were so many things I wish we'd known before we headed to Alaska by ship. And to help you make the most of your trip, we're going to share today 20 things that I wish I'd known before that first cruise. How to pack, which itinerary to choose, because that can be really confusing, what makes Alaska unique from other destinations, and we think you're going to be surprised by some of these unique Alaska cruise facts. Of course, you're going to look forward to breathtaking scenery, abundant wildlife, and unforgettable experiences. So let's talk about these 20 things I wish I knew before I headed to Alaska. Number one, I wish I'd known more about planning my itinerary wisely. There's so many different itineraries to choose from with different destinations. You have round trip Seattle, round trip Vancouver. You have cruises that start in one destination and stop at another. And you even have cruise tours. So the key is really working with a travel agent to help you explore those options and find the perfect fit for your interest. Another thing I didn't realize was that the cruise month really matters when you visit Alaska. In that limited season, it does matter. The cost of your cruise, the number of fellow passengers, it can really vary depending on the month you choose. Now, the shoulder seasons of May and September, the shoulder season months, I should say, they often offer the best balance between affordability and crowds. Number three, oh, I wish I'd known how critical it is to fly in early so you can explore more. You don't want to have this regret of rushing to embark. You might want to fly in a day or two before your cruise, or maybe even more, to give you some time to relax, explore the embarkation cities of Seattle, Vancouver, and avoid last-minute stress. Next up, I wish I knew that Vancouver was such an incredible pre or post cruise gem, you guys. Have you been to Vancouver? It's so pretty. The scenery is beautiful. The food is amazing. The culture is amazing. The locals are wonderful. And Vancouver is a great place to visit and spend some time before or after your cruise. So you might want to consider tacking on a stay in this beautiful city before your cruise. Number five, you got to be prepared to share the ports with lots of other people. It can be quite crowded in Alaska. I think I expected when I was first cruising to Alaska that every town was going to be quaint and uncrowded, but the reality is there's probably going to be a number of other ships there with you. It can be quite crowded, and you need to book those excursions in advance to avoid disappointment. Number six, the balcony decision. It's a really tough one for new cruisers. And I remember thinking, should I book the balcony or should I go with an inside? Because sometimes in Alaska, you can literally save thousands of dollars by booking an inside cabin. But the thing is, a balcony can really elevate your Alaska experience. You're going to have beautiful views, fresh air, and see so much by investing in that balcony. However, the cost may not be for you, and you have to consider your priorities when making this decision. Number seven, you've got to embrace the seasons when you're cruising to Alaska. The beauty of the area transforms throughout those months of April through October, and you're going to want to research the wildlife viewing opportunities and weather patterns for your chosen month. We have an article and a video specifically about the details on when to go and what that's all about, and we'll link to it below. Number eight, I really wish when I first went to Alaska, I had splurged on some excursions to see the area. And also, I wish I'd budgeted for them. Alaska excursions can be really pricey, so you've got to budget accordingly and plan ahead. You got to think about what is going to be most captivating to you. Is it a glacier kayak? Is it bear watching? Is it going to a salmon bake? Is it going on a helicopter tour? Budget, research, plan, save. It's really important that you think ahead about those costs when it comes to Alaska. Number nine, I wish I'd known that not all glaciers are created equal. Now, Glacier Bay National Park is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's considered the crown jewel of Alaskan glaciers. Now, if seeing glaciers is a priority, aim for an itinerary that includes Glacier Bay. I had gone to Alaska probably 5 times before I went to Glacier Bay, and it's just breathtaking. Number 10, I wish I'd known how valuable the rangers are on cruises to Alaska. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was missing when the ranger and naturalists come aboard and hang out with you on your glacier day. Their insights on the region and on the glacier areas, they really make the experience truly enriching. So do not miss their presentations and their time out on deck. Number 11, I really didn't think the first time I went to Alaska that I'd have to be packing for all seasons. The weather can be super unpredictable in Alaska, and I didn't realize I needed to pack layers for temperatures ranging every day from about 40 degrees Fahrenheit up into the 80s. I also didn't really think about taking a swimsuit on my first Alaska cruise and maybe even a pair of shorts. You might want to take a quick hot tub dip or a long hot tub dip and watch the scenery go by, and you might need shorts in case there's a heat wave. Those are some things I didn't know. Number 12, Alaska cruises are really casual. Casual comfort is kind of key. So the dress code on board most Alaskan cruises is a lot more chill compared to other cruise destinations. Even on those formal nights, people will dress up, but you're not going to see it as much. Pack comfortable clothing that allows for layering, but lots and lots of jeans and sweaters. Number 13, layers are your best friend. You're probably starting to hear this if you're planning for an Alaska cruise, right? Like, what does this mean? What are the layers all about? Well, basically what it means is that you want to pack clothes that you can easily mix and match to adapt to changeable weather. So things like t-shirts, jeans, sweaters, hoodies, and then a waterproof outer layer and waterproof shoes to top it off. Number 14, let's talk about seasickness for a moment. While it's actually pretty uncommon to get seasick or motion sick up in Alaska because often you're in the inside passage, if there's a storm or you're cruising really early or late season, or maybe you're starting your cruise from a Gulf city or somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean, it can get a little rocky. It's really a good idea to be prepared, and I wish I would have thought about that before my first Alaska cruise. We have a motion sickness remedy store that you can shop that has medicinal, non-medicinal, ginger-related, and even wristband options to help you ensure that you stay really comfortable while you're in Alaska. Number 15, comfortable shoes in Alaska are a huge must. They're a big priority. Be prepared for a lot of walking both on board and during those port excursions, and pack comfortable, worn-in shoes with good support to avoid sore feet and blisters. And again, remember to wear them in beforehand. Number 16, I had no idea that when I first went to Alaska that the time zones were going to change so much. Alaska actually has multiple time zones. Some of them are an hour behind Pacific time. So when you're in Juneau, you might actually be 1 hour behind Pacific time. And this can be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you're from the East Coast or a time zone where this puts you back 3 and 4 hours. One tip we have for you is to plan an early dining time to help kind of adjust. Number 17, Alaska is the land of the midnight sun. And what that means is that during the summer months in Alaska, you're going to want to expect long days with early sunrises and late sunsets. I had no idea how this was going to impact me on my cruise, and I wish I would have packed an eye mask for sleep because I need a very dark sleep. But if you forget to do that, you could always grab a clothespin and shut those curtains. But just remember, it might not get dark until pretty late in the evening on your Alaska cruise. Number 18, I wish I'd known that being flexible is really critical when you're cruising to Alaska. You've got to be prepared, just like any other cruise destination, for itinerary changes due to weather conditions or unforeseen circumstances. Keeping a flexible mindset will really help you to enjoy the journey, regardless of minor adjustments. Number 19, consider embarking beyond Seattle. While I love Seattle and it's a really popular embarkation city, and it might actually be perfect for your first cruise to Alaska, later on, you might want to explore other options like Vancouver that we mentioned earlier, or Anchorage, or that cruise tour. This can kind of impact your airfare costs, though. Seattle is usually cheaper for a lot of people, so factor that into your decision. And finally, number 20, there's some small towns in Alaska that are really special. If you see ports like Sitka, Haines, or Wrangell on your itinerary, they offer unique experiences and a beautiful glimpse into local culture. And I wish I would have known that when I was first looking at those itineraries. I always looked for Skagway, Juneau, and Ketchikan, but I wish I would have known how amazing those towns were. All right, friends, we did it. So by keeping these tips in mind, you're going to be well on your way to an unforgettable Alaskan experience. And I want you to check out our resource list down in the description and the comments of this video. We have an Alaska cruise packing do's and don'ts list. We have videos for you to watch. We have an Amazon store dedicated entirely to Alaska cruise planning, even down to comfy shoes for Alaska. And we have so many things that you're going to love to help you get ready. Now, if you're cruising to Alaska and it's your first time, tell me what your number one concern was when you were first starting to think about an Alaska cruise. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you for the thumbs ups and for subscribing before you go. And until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Bye bye.